All right, it's finally time to address this absolute hype beast. Hello, welcome back to Seldomly Often. I'm Daniel, today we're taking fragrances, and this is a practical review of Louis Vuitton's Imagination. These reviews are for fragrances that I have a lot of experience with, multiple wears and main situations, and are meant to give you a general idea of what it feels to wear the fragrance. As per usual, I do a lot of research before buying fragrances, but I don't really like to go into details about notes and accords, as I don't think that they help the end user. I'd rather talk about the wear experience as a whole. All right, I've heard you. It's finally time to talk about Louis Vuitton's Imagination, the absolute hype beast that this is, basically replacing Creed Aventus in popularity. Many of you have been asking me for a review of this. Many have been asking for my take and my opinion on this. In short, it's amazing. It's that good. I really do like it. I really do think that it's one of the best summer freshies on the market today. It's expensive. In my opinion, it's actually worth it. I really do like most of the fragrances by Louis Vuitton. The brand has excellent marketing, excellent presence. The fragrances themselves are so incredibly well designed. They're so rounded off, so sophisticated and elegant. They perfectly strike the balance between being unique smelling to a degree, very fun, very invigorating, very youthful, yet they have this class to them. This one here is one of the best ones from the brand, one of the best ones that I've tried. Before we talk about the actual fragrance and its wear experience, we have to address the elephant in the room. This fragrance is an absolute hype beast. Everyone is talking about it. Everyone on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Fragrantica, Parfumo. This is one of the highest rated fragrances on those sites. It's one of the most sought after fragrances on these social networks. And it's basically a fragrance that every boy, every young man, every guy is aspiring to get. It's that popular. I have to confess that I'm usually very much put off by this sort of forced marketing. It's not even marketing by the brand, it's just hype. And I don't like fragrances, I don't like products that are that hyped. It's a huge turnoff to me. So why did I get this? So first of all, I did not buy this. I got this in a trade. I was very lucky. My friend Nat sent it to me. And after a little bit of hesitation, again, due to this massive hype, I put some wears in. I really came to appreciate the scent profile. It's just so beautiful, so extremely easy to wear. That is actually one of the reasons it's so popular. You just come across as clean, professional, put together. It's absolutely amazing. It's pretty much been my daily wear at the office. But I want to go back to the hype situation. Now, this is not a rant. I actually do enjoy when a fragrance is very popular. I do applaud the brand for creating such an amazing product. I'm not even sure where the hype for this even started. Louis Vuitton is not one of those brands that gives off bottles to influencers. I'm not really sure who started talking about this, but at this point, it doesn't really matter. This is massively popular, and we just have to acknowledge that. And I really want to underline that I'm not upset at people liking this. I'm not unhappy that this fragrance is so popular, and I'm not even upset because I like to go against the grain and I like it. It's more because people like it for the wrong reasons. This is a massive debate, a massive conundrum. We could talk about it forever, but it basically revolves around the idea of chasing luxury for the sake of luxury, chasing a brand name like Louis Vuitton. I'm very much against that. Now, this is especially upsetting because I really do like this fragrance. I think it's a brilliantly designed fragrance. It's really good, but it's liked for the wrong reasons. But the thing that annoys me the most about this is that the best features of this product, the creative design, the perfumer's name, everything is being ignored in favor of what's written on the bottle, in favor of the brand's name. And this is so sad. It almost feels like the public is kind of like disrespecting the creative direction of Louis Vuitton when it comes to fragrances. I'm perfectly aware that a statement like this might come across as a little bit snobby or elitist. Everyone is entitled to like whatever they want for whatever reason they want. But it's just such a pity because this is such a well-designed product. It's so meticulously crafted. I can totally see many hours from the perfumer, from the creative direction that has gone into this. And it's just sad to my eyes to see this appreciated for maybe the wrong reasons. On a positive note, a lot of what people say about this fragrance is absolutely true. It's beautiful, it's invigorating, it's fresh, it can be worn pretty much in every situation. It's remarkably long-lasting for what it is. It's so likable and mass appealing, and hell, it might even get you compliments. But we're going to talk about the scent profile and wear experience after we cover the presentation. When it comes to presentation, Louis Vuitton fragrances are exceptionally high-end, very high quality, especially considering that they're designers. And yes, these fragrances might not be considered necessarily designers, especially given the price point, especially given the product placement. but they do fit in that category. These bottles are absolutely beautiful. They're so classy, sophisticated, they're so minimalistic, so simple looking. They look amazing on the shelf, they're an absolute joy to use. Nothing of these products has been left to chance. And hey, if you don't like the style of these, if you don't like the look of these, it's fine, it's absolutely subjective. What is objective though is the quality. When you pick one of these up, you're immediately greeted by this amazing high-end product. The glass is absolutely crystal clear, super transparent, everything feels perfectly made. There's no signs of manufacturing, nothing, the labeling, the cap, everything feels exceptionally good. Now, I want to open a little bit of a parenthesis here, mainly regarding the shop experience, because I do feel that it's relevant to this brand. The high quality of these products is definitely something that you would expect from a brand like Louis Vuitton, especially at these prices. We'll get to that in a sec. But going back to the shop experience, I decided to review my Louis Vuitton fragrances after I experienced it firsthand, and I bought Pacific Chill in the shop retail. This one here, as I said before, I got on a trade. That being said, my shop experience in Louis Vuitton, specifically in Lugano in Switzerland, was not that great. I was expecting a level of luxury which was above this, a level of knowledge about the fragrances which was above what I got. The guy felt very grossly trained. He didn't seem to care. He didn't know anything about the fragrances, and it just was a little bit of a letdown. I know that Louis Vuitton sells a lot more products, a lot more variety of products, but you need to be fairly involved in the fragrances because a lot of people go there for the fragrances. A lot of people are intrigued by the fragrances. These are massive sellers for the brand. And in my opinion, shop assistants for Louis Vuitton should showcase a little bit more fragrance knowledge and have the ability to ask questions and to really point you towards a fragrance that is mostly suited towards you. That was not the case for me. The guy was barely answering any questions. He had no idea about the fragrances, and that was a little bit of a disappointment. And again, I wanted to touch upon the shop experience because Louis Vuitton is seen as this mecca for luxury. These products are sold on the promise of luxury, and they kind of need to live up to that name. As I was saying before, the glass is absolutely gorgeous, super transparent, very beautiful, no signs of manufacturing or molding. It just feels incredibly high quality. One thing that I want to note about the glass is that it appears to be very thin in a way that is kind of unusual. A lot of bottles go for these thick bottles, which are very, very heavy. This bottle is not that heavy. It's actually quite light. The glass feels very delicate, very fragile. Maybe the thinness is required for this exceptional transparency. Maybe it's just a flex. I've heard that in the past, perfume houses would go for very, very thin bottle designs because it would basically be showcasing their manufacturing prowess. Maybe Louis Vuitton is doing that sort of thing. Who knows? Anyway, the bottle is absolutely gorgeous, as I said before. The cap is heavy, it's metal, it's magnetic. It feels very satisfying. The magnet could be a little bit stronger. I wouldn't necessarily pick up this bottle from the cap. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. Again, the cap feels like a solid coin. It has this engraving on top, the logo. It just snaps into place. It's very, very beautiful. I like using these bottles. As I was saying before, these are an absolute joy to use. And speaking of usability, let's talk about the Atomizer. Atomization for Louis Vuitton fragrances is absolutely perfect. It beautifully balances pressurization and diffusion. They're so easy to aim. They spray exactly the quantity that you would expect them to spray. This is what an atomizer should aim to be. Let's give it a couple sprays. I've been wearing this as my scent of the day. It's absolutely glorious. Again, I use it at work all the time. It lasts the right amount. I still have a little bit of a trace of this on me. I sprayed it in the morning. Now it's evening after work. I can still smell it, but it's very faint. This has the perfect longevity as a day wear. It really allows you to wear something else in the evening after the shower. It washes off very quickly, very easily. It just lasts the perfect amount. Very, very beautiful stuff. Again, at work, no ambassador. It's so massively appreciated, so massively liked. You just smell clean, you smell functional, you smell professional. Highly recommended in that regard. Going back to the presentation, I just want to mention a few other things. One is a stem or straw, which is invisible. It adds this aura of luxury to these bottles, especially when they're transparent. Speaking of transparency, the color of the liquid is very, very pretty. I like it, but I don't like the fact that it's a liquid that is colored rather than the bottle. I think that most of the Louis Vuitton fragrances have the color embedded in the liquid rather than the bottle, at least the ones I have. Again, minor complaint. It's just a little bit weird as you progress with your dent and the bottle up top stays transparent. Another minor quirk is that the bottle bottom is concave and the information is not on a sticker, but it's actually very finely engraved and it's difficult to read, especially the batch code. One other thing that I want to mention, and this is a positive, the bottles are incredibly fingerprint resistant, especially given how transparent and shiny they are. This amazingly awesome feature, which is something I really care about, as you may know, might be due to some special coating on the glass, which is repelling fingerprints. I already praised this feature for all my and luxury. Their bottles are also very transparent and very fingerprint resistant. Overall presentation for Louis Vuitton fragrances is pretty much faultless. And hey, if the only thing that I have to complain about is the fact that the color is embedded in the liquid rather than the bottle, it's good. Now, on to the price, because this is where it gets interesting. Louis Vuitton fragrances are extremely expensive. Some may say they're overpriced, some may say they're not worth it. These fragrances retail for a whopping 330 euros, actually Swiss francs. It might even be more in dollars, I'm not really sure. And they're impossible to find at discounters due to the fact that Louis Vuitton does not distribute to discounters. Even the secondhand market is incredibly risky. Louis Vuitton is one of the most faked brands out there. So this is all to say that if you want one of these fragrances, you have to bite the bullet, suck it up, and pay retail. Either walk in a shop or order online. On a positive note, once you have one of these fragrances, you can refill it once it's gone for 20% off. Again, I'm fully aware that this is still very, very expensive, but we have to at least applaud and acknowledge the fact that Louis Vuitton has been successfully implementing a refill program that works. One of the few that work on the market today. The other ones feel kind of like a gimmick. Amouage Essences, I'm looking at you. But it's finally time to talk about the scent profile and wear experience for Louis Vuitton's Imagination. What does this actually smell like? To put it sort of simply, and I say sort of because Imagination is absolutely not easy to describe, this fragrance comes across as a combination between being a citrusy scent, a green scent, and maybe even a blue fresh out of the shower scent. It's very, very particular, very difficult to pinpoint, and this is actually one of the best features of this fragrance, and very, very common to other Louis Vuitton fragrances on the market. They all come across as fairly nondescript in the best possible way, and this particular aspect translates into massive wearability, interpretability, and adaptability. This is what makes these fragrances so unique smelling, and just so incredibly likable and mass appealing. It's a really amazing feat of perfumery engineering. I really applaud the perfumer for this, which is Jacques Cavalier. Within the brand, he has a fairly recognizable style and fingerprint, which is easily seen throughout the collection. Most of Louis Vuitton fragrances come across as surprisingly fresh and airy. And obviously, when talking about Imagination, this scent is meant to be fresh and airy. It's meant to be very invigorating. But this freshness, this airiness propagates throughout the other fragrances. It feels like Louis Vuitton doesn't necessarily make fragrances for the fragrance enthusiast, for the fragrance collector. They make each fragrance basically signature worthy, and that's one of the beauties of the house. I really like this aspect. They're just so well designed, so well weighted, and this is something that I'll be repeating throughout this review. Going back to Imagination, trying to be a little bit more specific, when you first spray this on, you're immediately met with this beautiful blast of citruses. It has this refined, sophisticated fruitiness, which is not in your face. This scent is not reminiscent of any cleaning product whatsoever. It just smells very natural, yet subdued. These citruses are almost in the background. Actually, come to think about it, I feel that all of the ingredients for this are in the background. There's nothing that stands out. And this is actually what makes defining this fragrance so difficult, identifying what's in it. Anyway, going back to the scent and trying to describe it, as I said before, you get these citruses at the top, which are very naturally fruity, very, very beautiful and subdued, but you also get a little bit of a green note, maybe even a floral note. Again, these notes, these facets of the scent are not defined whatsoever. They're not separated whatsoever. It just comes across as one unified wave or wall of smell. The green aspect in this is probably due to the famous tea note that the scent is known for. It's not photorealistic. It doesn't necessarily smell like tea first and foremost. The tea in here is much more green in nature, like green tea. It has this caffeinated, energizing aspect to it, which is combining with the effervescence from the citrus or maybe even from the Ambroxan, but we'll talk about that in a sec. Overall, the tea aspect of this comes across as kind of similar to something like Oolong Cha by Nichane. A lot less citrusy though. This is a lot more green, a lot more soapy and floral. Speaking of florals, there's a very prominent floral in here, which I'm not necessarily sure what it is. It might be some white floral. It adds a lot of roundness and body to the fragrance, and I think it's a component which is making the scent a little bit soapy. The soapiness in here is very clean and professional, very, very dry feeling. It has this masculine cleanliness to it. This scent does not come across as too floral. It's very, very balanced. As I said before, the citruses, the florals, and these green notes blend beautifully together. Very, very difficult to discern and to separate. Louis Vuitton fragrances in general are not known to be transitioning monsters. They don't really evolve much or change much throughout the wear experience. This is actually what makes them so wearable and so adaptable. Imagination might be one of the more transitioning ones that I've tried though. It opens up again, fresh, citrusy, fruity, very energizing, very effervescent, and then the scent becomes more and more dry, scent profile-wise. It becomes more and more woody and more ashy. The soapiness is also retained, and when the scent dries down, you get this massively beautiful, professional, sophisticated, masculine classiness. Yes, I do feel that this scent is a little bit more masculine leaning, but we'll get to that later in the practicalities. This incredibly smooth, relatively linear wear experience is what makes the scent so special. As I said before, it's just incredibly well designed, so well weighted, so well balanced. It's just so easy to wear. You just throw it on and it accompanies your day without being shouty or anything like that. You can easily push it into the background, giving you this aura of confidence, of professionalism. It's really amazing. Some may say that this fragrance is spring and summer only. I kind of disagree. I think that Louis Vuitton designed this as a year-round wear. And yes, it's very fresh, very airy, very energizing, and it definitely sits in the mid to top of the tone range. But overall, it's so incredibly wearable. It's so easy to put on in pretty much every season, and it has a surprising degree of complexity to it. Before covering practicalities, I just want to quickly touch upon the note of Ambroxan. I'm usually extremely sensitive to synthetic notes such as Ambroxan or Isola Super, or any of those notes which are designed to boost projection and longevity. They just come across as screechy, scratchy, and just abrasive, like nails on a chalkboard. But for whatever reason, the Ambroxan in Imagination comes across as fairly natural, very high quality. It almost smells a little bit like ambergris. It has some facets of real ambergris, namely the effervescence, but it still smells synthetic. It smells man-made. But again, for whatever reason, it's not really bothering me. If you know something else about it, leave a comment down below. I'm very curious. This Ambroxan-y feeling about it is very common in other Louis Vuitton fragrances, namely Pacific Chill, L'Immensité, maybe even Ombre Nomade. It has this body to it. It adds a lot of presence to these fragrances, and it probably adds a lot to the longevity of it too. Speaking of longevity, let's move into the practicality, starting off with performance. Longevity for Imagination, specifically considering how light it is and how fresh it is absolutely amazing. I get easily 7, 8, maybe 9 hours of wear. This easily covers a full day of work, as I said before. This makes for an amazing daytime scent, an amazing office scent at that. It's so supremely likable. The projection is good, especially upon initially spraying, but it's not room filling. It's fairly subdued. Again, Louis Vuitton is an elegant brand. These are elegant fragrances. They're not super bombastic. If you specifically are getting beast mode projection out of this, maybe you're spraying a ton of it on, which is absolutely fine. This is pretty much overspray proof. Or maybe I'm a to the Ambroxan, making this smell a lot more subtle than it actually is. The projection curve on this is absolutely magnificently tailored, so well weighted, so well designed. It just slowly peters off into dry down, slowly transitioning without any jarriness whatsoever. It's so supremely likable, so wearable. You can easily push this into the background, have it as a melody to your day. Very beautiful stuff. When it comes to actual use cases and versatility, Louis Vuitton fragrances are super versatile, super wearable, but Imagination is especially so. It's pretty much a 4-season scent in my opinion. It's very fresh, very professional. It comes across as clean, soapy, beautiful. I just can't see anyone complaining about this whatsoever. Even if you overspray it, as I said before, the DNA is just so likable and so mass appealing. You can pretty much wear this in every situation possible without ever thinking about people's opinion or anything like that. Now, in my opinion, this is a little bit more of a daytime scent. It's very fresh, very invigorating. As I said before, you can easily wear this at the office. You can wear it at the start of your day. It really gives you that boost. It really gives you that caffeinated feeling. If you're made of money, you can easily pull this off in a gym. It perfectly suits that environment. It's fresh, it's energizing, it's clean. It's just so beautiful. It's so mass appealing, so likable. It's supremely versatile. Anyone can wear this in pretty much every situation. Speaking of that, going to the demographics, I have to say that to me, this leans a little bit more masculine. It has a little bit of a bro vibe, I have to be completely sincere, but it does come across as very refined, very confident, very professional in a way. Women or more feminine personalities could also probably pull this off without too many issues. You would probably have to focus a little bit more on the green tea, zen meditative aspect. And again, it's not like you can force some notes to project more or less. It's all about a state of mind. If you zone in and focus on the woody notes, on the bitter notes, and on the ashy notes, this might come across as a little bit more masculine. But if you focus more on the green notes and on the citrus citrus notes and on the fruity aspects, this might be a little bit more unisex. It's very, very wearable. I like it a lot. Demographics-wise, I think that this is very modern. It can be worn by pretty much everyone. It's so sophisticated and classy, yet it has this fun, youthful aspect to it. It's not as fun as something like Pacific Chill or even Afternoon Swim. It comes across as a little bit more mature. But again, it's so soapy, so clean, so energizing. Anyone can pull this off, no problems there. When it comes to imagery and narration, Louis Vuitton fragrances are pretty lackluster. They're designed to be wearable and adaptable, and Imagination is especially so, especially wearable and adaptable, but also especially lacking narration. It doesn't transport me anywhere and has basically zero storytelling power. This is a very perfumey perfume, made to be a signature scent, perfumed by a master perfumer that knows exactly what they're doing, backed by a brand with a super strong brand identity and a very good creative idea. This is absolutely amazing. It can be worn in pretty much every situation, and again, it just fades into the background and accompanies your days with this beautiful melody. Gorgeous, gorgeous daytime scent. Okay, we're at the part of the video where I showcase some options for my reviewed fragrance. In the case of Louis Vuitton's Imagination, I just wanted to keep it classy, light, wearable, very fresh. And the first fragrance that I want to showcase is Tom Ford's Neroli Portofino. This absolute classic is so sophisticated, so elegant. It's a beautiful wear in the summer months. It's so evocative of vacation. It just screams luxury. It's also extremely overpriced though, being a Tom Ford, being from the private line. There are many, many options when it comes to orange blossom fragrances, when it comes to fragrances which are fresh, elegant, and sophisticated. One that I smelled recently was Zerge of Neo, that one there really surprised me with its wearability, with the beautiful orange blossom combined with the muskiness. Very beautiful stuff. Another awesome orange blossom fragrance that I keep raving about because it's one of my favorites is Fragonard's Fleur d'Oranger Parfum. I have a full review of that, so check it out because that's also extremely cheap. Anyway, going back to Neroli Portofino, it's beautiful. It's objectively beautiful. It's a classic. It's a wonderful wear. I've gone through basically a third of the 30 ml. I'm not going to be repurchasing this. I got it in a trade. I appreciate it for what it is. Again, it's a fairly simple orange blossom Neroli fragrance. It's very classy, very elegant, but it's not too unique. Sample it first, sample it in a mall because these are easy to sample. Then go on Parfum or Fragrantica, check out the fragrances maybe that smell kind of like this and go from there. Orange blossom is very, very specific. This is definitely not a unique scent profile, but I wanted to showcase it because it's a classic. The second fragrance that I want to talk about is one that I featured relatively recently. This one here, Sartorial by Penhaligon. Another masculine classic, another great way to start your day. Absolutely gorgeous creation by Bertrand Duchaufour. It smells so fresh, so invigorating. It's basically synonymous with a man in a suit. It smells so elegant, so English. It has this beautiful realistic steam accord which comes across as fresh, zingy, metallic, so invigorating. It's weird because this fragrance is a classic. It smells a little bit classic. It smells mature, but at the same time, it comes across as incredibly modern, very, very wearable. I love wearing this fragrance. I also get surprisingly good longevity, and this is something that I discovered after multiple wears. It just lingers around. And the most beautiful part of this fragrance is actually the dry down. The dry down has this musky, almost leathery component to it, which comes across as very, very masculine, like a guy that has been wearing a suit all day, in the best way possible. Not in a sweaty stain way, but in a musky, masculine way. This smells like a man with confidence, a man with purpose, a man to be respected. Absolutely amazing stuff. I can highly recommend Sartorial by Penhaligon if you're into a fougere barbershop fragrance. It's so invigorating, beautiful lavender up top. It just smells high quality, modern, yet timeless. Gorgeous, gorgeous stuff. Highly recommended on my part. The third fragrance that I want to showcase is one of my latest acquisitions and also one of the most beautiful things that I smelled recently. This one here is Isola Blue by Roja. What can I say about this scent profile? It's absolutely gorgeous. It's very, very difficult to fault. It smells so complex, so extremely sophisticated and classy, so natural smelling. It smells incredibly high quality. The citrus opening is absolutely to die for. So juicy, so fruity, so delicate at the same time. And then it dries down to this beautiful woody vetiver bitter thing. It's so beautiful and refined, but in a very perfumey sort of way. I really appreciate the craftsmanship behind something like this. It just smells so well made, so well designed and well balanced. Not too dissimilar from Imagination. Imagination though comes across as much more modern, much more synthetic in a good way. This one here comes across as pure perfumery craftsmanship, pure perfumery mastery. Absolutely gorgeous stuff. I'm still not a fan of Roja. I'm still not a fan of the brand. It's a little bit too flashy, too expensive, too just in your face. It's a little bit too over the top. It doesn't really match my personality. It doesn't really match my style. This one here though is absolutely gorgeous. I got this in a trade. I got a partial, as you see. It's a 50%. I'll probably be purchasing a full bottle if I end up going through this. Look, as skeptical and as critical as I can be towards the brand, the perfumes themselves smell absolutely amazing. I still have to come across a Roja that I don't like. Yes, the longevity for something like this is not that great, but it smells so natural. And when you have naturals like this, the longevity is something that you will put up with. They kind of remind me a little bit of Portofino fragrances, but in a much more perfumey, traditional way. Very beautiful stuff. I'll definitely be sampling more. This one here is an absolute banger, and it has nothing to do with Basso or even Terre d'Hermès. It's so much more beautiful, so much more refined. But back to Louis Vuitton's Imagination for my final recommendations and overview. Well, what can I say about this? It's just that good. It's absolutely amazing. I love wearing this. It smells great. It's so incredibly easy to put on. You just put it on, spray it on, and go about your day and just forget about it. It's a beautiful background to your day. It's basically the ultimate signature scent. And at that, it also lasts the perfect amount. It's really, really good. It's very difficult to fault. Jacques Cavalier is once again showing us that he's a master perfumer. This fragrance is absolutely amazing. It's so well designed, so well weighted, and well balanced. Nothing is sticking out. It's so difficult to break apart, so difficult to identify, and that's what makes it so amazing. It's so incredibly smooth and easy to wear, and it just comes across as a beautiful scent. It just comes across as a beautiful perfume. And although I'm not a fan of Louis Vuitton as a brand, I don't like their products. It's a very polarizing brand, and I'm especially not a fan of how hyped this is and how popular it is. I have to admit that this is an amazing fragrance, and it really deserves all of the hype. It's absolutely gorgeous. If you have not smelled Imagination before, because maybe you are resisting that hype, if you're a little bit like me, go out to a Louis Vuitton shop, give it a sniff, give it a full wear. You'll be mesmerized. And I'm definitely not suggesting you run out and buy this, especially given how expensive these are, but the fragrances by Louis Vuitton are just such good products. They're just such well-designed products. And in my opinion, they are kind of worth the money. I've never regretted a trade, never regretted a purchase. They're all absolutely amazing. And yes, I'm a little bit of a sucker for the fragrances. I'm a little bit of a sucker for Jacques Cavalier, but these to me symbolize the ultimate utility fragrances, the ultimate day-to-day wears. They're not narrative whatsoever. They're just beautiful, perfumey perfumes to be enjoyed every day, all day. Absolutely amazing stuff. I definitely recommend trying it out. If you're absolutely against the brand of Louis Vuitton, hey, fine by me. I totally get it. I respect that. But try to be a little bit more open-minded. Try to see these as products by the perfumer Jacques Cavalier rather than the brand. Go into a shop, sample it, wear it, and draw your own conclusions. In my opinion, it's absolutely amazing. If you like this type of content, if you like my approach to video, feel free to subscribe. It's always massively appreciated and helps the channel. If you want to interact with me, leave a comment, suggestion, opinion, or anything else down below. I always reply and I always keep the conversation open. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your time. Many more fun videos, many more fun reviews to come. Stay tuned. See you in the next one, and cheers.